Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Football Palestine Extra. Um, we're doing something a little bit different this week. Typically, what I use these podcast episodes for is to dive deep into the news of Palestinian football. And we've been fortunate, I think, over the past couple of years to have a lot of football-related things to talk about, even in the midst of ongoing genocide. Um, Unfortunately, today marks 1 week since Suleiman Al-Obeid was murdered, trying to seek aid for his family and one of the collection points for the so-called Gaza Humanitarian Fund, killed by an Israeli bullet. And this episode is dedicated to him, his memory, not just his death, but also his life, because I think there's been a lot of coverage as to his death, his murder, but not a lot of attention has been given to his life. And some of the details of his life, of his career, have been glossed over. Some have been maybe not so accurate, don't tell the full story. So we're going to dedicate this episode to him. Not the first footballer to be murdered in this genocide. Unfortunately, probably not the last. There have been hundreds of others. He is now the third national team player to be killed during this ongoing genocide. Ryan Nograbi, who played for the team at the 1999 Pan Arab Games and won a bronze medal, was murdered in January 2024. On the first day of Ramadan 2024 in March, Mohamed Barakat played for the team a handful of times in the early 2010s. Was also murdered, and he gave this very chilling video on social media where he recorded himself with airstrikes in the background. And then, a couple of hours later, it was reported that he was killed in those airstrikes we could hear in the video in the background. And now Suleiman, on August 6th, 2025, was murdered. So what can we say about this? I'll always remember with a smile on uh, on on his face. He always put a smile on my face, not just for what he did on a football pitch, but also for his character, his humility, his humor, and all around uh, just great guy, and probably somebody. And your prime coincides with the present, then you're going to have, I think, a very, very good chance of showing that talent for the national team. If, on the other hand, like Suleiman Al-Obeid, you were born in 1981, not 1984, his birthday was October 28th, 1981, and unfortunately, your prime coincides with some. Um, what does that mean in practice? It means that when he was becoming a professional footballer, that coincided with the Second Intifada. That meant there was no league to play in. You had small tournaments. Um, and then again, the league shut down and did not appear again until the 2010-2011 season in Gaza. Um, and as a result, I think a lot of talented players went either. I think on the global level, on the international level, 2007. He debuted at the West Asian Football Federation Championship, what we call the WAF Championship, in 2007. Debuted in the same game as another Ghazi, Abdul Latif Bahdari. And they have two very, very similar stories in that these guys are not native guys come and they are born to families that fled and were born in refugee camps in the Gaza Strip. Abdul Latif Bahdari who is Palestine's former captain, all-time record appearance holder. Played for the national team for 14 years, amassed 80 caps, was born in Rafah. Suleiman Al-Obeid was born in Al-Shati refugee camp, so the beach refugee camp, which is in the northern part of Gaza City near the coast. And he played for his hometown club for the beginning stage of his career. He played for Khadamat Al-Shati. And that led to him making a debut against Iraq in a game that Palestine lost 1-0. And he played 4 days later on the 20th of June against Iran. Those were his first 2 caps with the national team, coincidentally the first 2 caps of Abdul Latif. What really happened after is something that you can't really get past, because June 2007 also coincides with an attempted coup that failed of the unity government in Gaza. So there was something of a civil war for a couple of days. Hundreds of people were killed when forces led by Mohammed Dahlan, backed by the United States, attempted to overthrow the unity government in Gaza. The unity government, which was led by Hamas at the time, fought back, seized control, and in the aftermath, you basically had this schism with 2 governments, but no state. One confined to the West Bank, led by Fatah, and one confined to Gaza, led by Hamas. And this was really kind of a small death for Palestinian football, because all of a sudden you had the Palestine Football Association, back then were based in Gaza. They were increasingly removed and divorced from the West Bank because of the reality on the ground and because of Israeli restrictions and occupation. But then you also had this political layer, and things would become very, very difficult to manage. And all the problems that were there before became manifested even more. So what happens is, a couple months after that, Palestine loses a World Cup qualifier in absolutely humiliating fashion. Preparations were all over the place. They had a guy come in from Chile to coach the team as a volunteer. They really couldn't, I think, prepare well. Their fitness was all over the place, and they lose to Singapore 4-0, a team that they had beaten 1-0 little over a year previously in Asian Cup qualifying. And that's that kind of, at least for the administration of the Palestinian Football Association, we know it. That basically brings it to a close. And the next time the team plays is in August 2008. By then, Jibril Joub is in charge. And all sorts of really weird decisions are made. The decision not to participate in Asian Cup qualifying for the 2011 tournament was taken. One of the first things Jibril Joub did when he was in charge was not participate in the 2008 Challenge Cup, which was also another way to qualify for the 2011 Asian Cup. So they show up at the WAF Championship in Iran, and again they lose to Iran and Qatar by a 3-0 and 1-0 scoreline in August 2008. And Suleiman is not involved. Suleiman is not involved in those games. He's not involved in the first fully fledged international played by Palestine, or at least by the modern Palestinian national team on Palestinian soil, that 1-1 draw against Jordan. Not involved in Challenge Cup qualifying, where Palestine fails to qualify quite humiliatingly to the Challenge Cup finals in 2009. Not involved in tenure in 2009 against China. But he does appear finally again in October 2009. So a little bit over 2 years are removed from his first appearances and his third appearance with the national team, which comes in. He ends up becoming something of a mainstay in that team. So between 2009 and 2011, so basically the bulk of Musa Bazzaz's tenure, he ends up playing most of the games there. So I've got the games in front of me here. 3 official games in that tenure.